friends and lovers, and welcome to a delectable another year, another week in the For Your Reference household. We are coming up to 5 years, OT.
We are.
We are very excited. We've announced on the Patreon who our director will be, and we've got the splooshies coming up. We've got such a great time. We've also got a backlog of things that we'll be getting through. But today, we will be sucking all the gobstoppers.
Oh, ho, ho.
We're going to ride it till it falls off, OT.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get on with the show. Friends and delicious lovers, welcome back to the For Your Reference podcast. You got your host KT
And OT.
Beware the cavity of social commentary staining the joy of childhood.
Oh.
Sugarcoat sour themes with Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory and Wonka this week.
Mm-hmm.
The Johnny Depp one's redacted just in general and just because we are where we are, friends and lovers. But we do love Tim Burton and Freddie Highmore as well. Mm-hmm. Ooh, how are you feeling, OT?
Good.
You know, as much as people think I'm the one behind the scenes, you wanted to make sure we had a full review episode for the Wonka films and also Anatomy of a Fall coming up.
Yeah.
So very exciting times. You know, we ran out of time. We're not doing the Tim Burton one today, friends and lovers, but we will be covering, and it feels like they are more connected together. Kind of like a Frankenstein, Halloween, different timeline monster. But we're going to be covering the 1971 as well as the 2023 Wonka verse films. Also, I am a little bit spicy, but I guess OT can choose. I had the title as Chocolate Gate.
Oh.
But I also have it as Capitalism, Classism, and Confectionery. But before we get into the quotes, I guess just like general, I'm not going to go into super detail, so you're more than welcome to read it. But the 1971 Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory was directed by Mel Stewart, and Roald Dahl actually helped to adapt it to screen, which I think is quite interesting as well when you think about, you know, when we start talking about the themes and the deliciousness and the sourness and all of that. Gene Wilder, obviously, we might have to do which Wonka the most. Jack Albertson as the grandpa, as well as Peter Ostrom playing Charlie Bucket. In regards to the 2023 Wonka, which, yes, I said I cried in. Yes, everyone was like, what? I'm capable of being a bitch and having tears, friends and lovers. Director Paul King, the Paddington of it all, which we've never really ventured down. So maybe that helped. I guess we'll see as time goes along. Credited for writing, we have Simon Farnaby as well as Paul King. Timothy Chalamet playing Willy Wonka. And we have a whole host of cast. Keegan-Michael Key. I know there's so many other people, but I'll just mention him here.
Oh, wow.
Olivia Colman, you know, there's so many people in this film, and Carla Lane, obviously, because noodle, and spoiler alert, that's why I was having a little emotional, delicious confectionery tear to myself. So let's get into our general impressions / pull quotes. And again, I do have some tasty themes that we're going to get into. We might as well just intersperse both of the films as well. But kick us off with the 1971 thoughts, OT.
Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory remains a timeless treasure. Its humor still sparkles, proving its enduring appeal. A heartwarming, whimsical journey that continues to delight audiences of all ages.
I might have delight in mine as well. Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory is a classic delight for all the senses. Gene Wilder has the commendable ability to balance levity and no-nonsense charm to confectionery and commentary.
100% agree with that.
And yeah, you want to go into the 2023 quote?
Yeah. Wonka the prequel surprised me pleasantly. While it can't match Gene Wilder's classic, it stands on its own with solid storytelling and acting.
Okay. Very nice. I like that. Wonka sits comfortably as a double feature to its 1971 predecessor. While it's lighter on themes of capitalism and other social commentary, it remains centered in emotional resonance with the world and characters.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I see what you're putting down.
Friends and lovers, thank you for joining us on our end of year ratings, our Christmas special. But in that, we reviewed in full combined review capacities over 120 TV shows and films.
Yeah.
So what made you decide that we needed to absolutely cover this in a more, I guess, extended pack version?
I think rewatching Gene Wilder's version,
How good?
I think I forgot how good it was. I had fun with it. It felt like I'd not watched a movie like that in ages.
Yeah.
In its hilarity and whimsy. And it's something that I didn't even realize I missed. And when we watched that and then we went to watch Wonka, I was like, okay, it wouldn't be fair to compare the two straight up, but Charlemagne did a job.
Okay. So does that mean some films are untouchable?
I wouldn't say untouchable.
Because you said they shouldn't be compared.
I think it would be unfair to compare the two directly because A, it's not like a remake, it's a prequel. So, trying to expand the world a bit.
Just like Fast and the Furious is going back to its roots.
Oh yeah, storytelling, layered storytelling.
I absolutely agree with you. I'm just glad we're able to talk about it today. It's very, very exciting. I'm not necessarily learned in it, so I would direct you, even though I'm scared of TikTok, there is Film Talk and a lot of great Black creators that talk about the parallels between slavery and Oompa Loompas. And in the OG, you know how you talk about, what's your green eggs and ham fella? Dr. Seuss. You know, he's got his little problematic shit going on. Roald Dahl had that as well. And the lines actually denoted to African slaves. So I'm not necessarily an expert on it. What I would say, whether you want to say it's credit or whether you want to say it's that Roy Wood Jr. residue, they didn't shy away from it in the 1971. Like, it was very clear that they were talking about using other labor to the benefit of the chocolate factory. So I do just want to put that as a note at the start of this review, but I'm also not an expert, and you also shouldn't get factual information from an questionable podcast. So let's get into the themes. The first theme that I have is social commentary, and I kind of want to evaluate the OG 1971, whether you want to call it 1971, 2023, whether you want to call it Gene Wilder, Timothy Chalamet, OG, New Age, whatever you want to call it. I kind of want to evaluate how they both worked and maybe potentially if one was more cohesive, whether it resonated more with you in particular. So let's talk about social commentary. There was a lot of lines about capitalism in particular in the 1971 version.
Yes. So, in my take, in the Gene Wilder version, we get social commentary about capitalism, labor, and how you obtain it, and all that. I felt that it covered most ground, I think, better than the Charlemagne one.
Yeah.
Just because in the Wonka version, we get this sort of commentary, or at least they try and tiptoe around it.
Yeah.
On how he gets to obtain this labor and how it came to be.
Yeah.
Hugh Grant does an amazing job in this.
He does, but they were pussyfooting around it.
Exactly, they're pussyfooting. Whereas Gene Wilder's version, we got it straight out.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I think what's also interesting about the 1971 film is it did it in a way that was so natural, and it did it in a way that was so unapologetic. Like, say, for example, even denoting to the fact that Charlie Bucket only had that Eminem one shot. You know what I mean? like there weren't many opportunities for him to get it, and even that one opportunity was very, very unlikely or improbable that he would be the one to win, compared to, the more wealthier sort of contestants that had hundreds of, the ability to get hundreds of bars, and, it heightens the probability of it.
Yeah.
Right. Taking advantage of having a whole factory and getting all the factory workers to be able to open and unravel and look for that golden ticket.
Mm-hmm.
And even the fake ticket that they had was also very interesting as well.
Of course there is.
I really liked it. And I think it was even peppered in with like his grandparents as well. Like it wasn't just, we want to talk about capitalism, so we're just going to put a line here and there. It was throughout every sort of interaction with all of the characters, even with the notion of having a golden ticket. You know what I mean? Like everyone's there to participate, but they're not there to win.
Oh, yeah.
It's chocolate squids games.
It is. And and this is where you get sort of the overlaying theme, you know, where we get Charlie Bucket. Poor guy, man. Like the amount of, he is Kevin of the Shy.
Yes, and this is the white soul food. These adults were dumping on that poor boy.
He had been through a lot.
Been through shit, seen shit.
Seeing shit with dead ass grandparents who would do nothing.
Mm-hmm.
They were laying in that bed for eons.
Yeah.
Not even bothering to get out of bed. The poor mother.
Can we talk about it? Because it was very interesting. It was, I think, just an acute, silly sort of evaluation. But I have a line here that the Grandpa Joe said. You have more chance because you want it more.
Doesn't work like that.
Yeah, but those that haven't grown up with much have heard that, some sort of variation of that.
Hear it every day.
We do.
Want it more.
Yes. Of course, absolutely. But I really enjoyed the social commentary in this film. Obviously, there are levels of classism as well. Oh, and also, spoiler, dentist. Go and check your dentist because you're going to get spoiled, friends and lovers. But like, because it was an allegory for virtue, right? Because Willy Wonka was looking for a predecessor. He was looking for the most pure-hearted, right? And that eliminated a lot of the privileged, wealthy, like I said in Saltburn, stuffy, upper class, never going to touch the grass people.
Yep.
I thought also it was very interesting to see the way that films that are targeted towards younger people in 1970s compared to now, because they said things out in the open, which I guess if you're a kid, you don't really understand it. But making them sign a contract at the start.
Yeah, terms and conditions, they can't read.
Well, no, I think they were literate. It was the 1970s, not the 1700s.
Not that they can't read because they're illiterate, just because of the sheer amount of text that was there.
Oh, okay.
And in small print, like super, super fine print.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I absolutely agree. But it was interesting to have those sorts of themes. It was very refreshing. It was a nice sort of middle between like what we expect now and like a lot more kinder than your It's a Wonderful Life.
Oh, yeah.
But let's go into the next theme. Wonka or Wanker? Who takes the crown? So who's the Wonka? Who's the Wanker?
Gene Wilder will be the Wonka. And the Wonka would be Charlemagne.
Okay. Is it even close? Is there a world where the Wonka and the Wanker collide?
I think halfway through Gene Wilder's version, probably, where it feels like he's sort of turned the page of, oh, I'm not going to pretend, or I'm going to drop my veneer of, ooh, we're going to just be having fun in the factory.
Yeah.
Maybe then.
Okay.
But still the kid was acting mad, and the parents as well. So I didn't really blame him for being like that.
Mm-hmm.
But with Charlemagne, I think we're introduced to him with him having this ambition, having this drive of always wanting something or wanting to build something better and to showcase his talent in making candy.
Mm-hmm.
But we get he's stepping up to the OGs. He's acting as if he's already made it. He's done nothing yet. You know, you can have the best candy in the world, but I don't know. I just felt like a step up.
So you mean he needed to prove his muster a bit?
Yeah.
He was peacocking a little bit?
Peacocking to the fullest.
Interesting. So he needed to struggle a bit more, is that what you're saying? Because what if he was just naturally talented? Because it seems like...
he's naturally talented, but when he's introduced and his first showcase to the place is flying, candy that makes people bloody fly. Mm-hmm. How do you beat that? And to the point of that, it seems like those people had never experienced or seen anything like that, but still swept it under the rug as if it was nothing.
Yeah.
I'm like, if I'm flying after eating candy, bruv, that's the only place I'm going.
Yeah, there was chocoganda going on.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you. I thought you were going to have more of a quandary about who is the real Wonka and who is the lesser wanker. I'm surprised. I think maybe what works against Charlemagne's portrayal is that it's based off another one. I think if this was like a non-Wonka standalone sort of performance, it really would have shone in the way that we see Gene Wilder's one.
Oh, 100%. I don't doubt that. I think we get a sense of Wonka, I think, sort of better in Charlemagne's version, just because it's a story about him rather than
origin story,
Charlie Bucket and all that, and his interactions with people and how he connects or how he builds those relationships and all he holds valuable. So it does paint that bigger picture, which is enjoyable. And shout out to Noodle.
Okay, I need to get your thoughts on this because, as you can imagine, friends and lovers, our timeline is all about film, whether it's film talks, film recaps, thoughts, even from like journalists and critics from like early screening, social reactions and that sort of thing, or even just casual viewers that share their thoughts. There were some Black critics / creators / influencers that felt as though Noodle could have been given a little bit more dimension. Like potentially that her name Noodle was a lazy, not even giving her dimension name.
Really?
I just want to get your thoughts on that.
What frustrated me with Noodle is sort of, she felt already made. Like she felt those zero character development, in my view, were already
like she's not most improved because she's already quite solid.
Yeah, like we're introduced to a fully formed character, and nothing moved the needle.
Okay, well, this is interesting because wouldn't you say that she balanced out Charlemagne's Wonka? Because Wonka was very lofty and Noodle kind of grounded him. And Wonka kind of instilled that whimsy that you can still have joy to her groundedness. So I would say it was like a symbiotic thing.
And this is
maybe in isolation.
And this is the thing. I think 3/4 of the movie, Noodle doesn't grow per se. Yes, you can say towards the end where she's sort of introduced to the aspect of, oh, your family is still sort of alive. Then that's when you get a softer sort of Noodle where we get to see a little bit of growth, but that's not even by much. We're not left with enough time to let her feel all these emotions and whatnot. It's so, oh, my mother is still alive, and we don't get to experience that within Noodle herself. And then by the time it gets to the end, it's just, oh, I'm just going to run up to my mom. It felt, I wanted to feel more emotional there.
I did. I cried.
I didn't, because I felt there was a disconnect. There was a disconnect between the journey of her experiencing or going through all this that I felt it hadn't fully bought that emotion for me.
Am I the wanker? Because could we say the journey was interwoven with Wonka? So you can't really discuss Noodle's journey without him because they, like, by them connecting was their way of being able to see the world differently.
Maybe so. Wonka thinks that by doing this, he might get a sense of or a reimagining of the mother or whatever. And with Noodle, she's introduced, she knows that she's an orphan and all that, and then we introduce her mother at the end. And I get that sort of interwovenness between the...
Bro, you fully broke them apart. I was just saying personality, but I guess trauma equal personality, right?
I just expect
you're just like they got absent mothers. Just like, okay.
No, I'm talking about the juxtaposition at the end of it being Wonka feeling as if he's gonna get reimagining or some weird sort of semblance of the mother still being there, and Noodle feeling as if I'm not gonna get anything. And at the end of it, Wonka realizes in himself that it wasn't about getting the mother back. It was more about the joy of, oh, candy, and the friends he made along the way. While Noodle, while it's still about the friends they make along the way, it's still, oh, I'm going to get that introduction to my family as well. So I'm not just saying it's about, oh, trauma and your trauma bonding. It still feels as if her journey wasn't fully thought out or mapped out. And the focus, in as much as was, and rightly
leave
so,
Noodle alone.
Fair enough. I'm not even going to finish that because fair enough.
That's why Noodle shouldn't be casted, because of bullies like you.
I just want
Just go back to where all of the white people, different countries in Europe plus America, but they all happen to be white. Go back to your 1971 version then.
I just wanted more emotion. And I felt I didn't get it.
Okay, well, I guess to close off this particular theme, I will grant you that Gene Wilder is the Wonka. I think Timothée Chalamet did well. Like I said, it leverages off an existing IP. So, and because of that existing IP being so solid, it's hard to compete or even be seen as on the same level. But what I will say is, to me personally, it didn't even matter if Timothée Chalamet was great in this, because the heart and the center for me was Noodle. I get what you're saying about her being a fully formed character, but I would say she's become, and maybe this is me projecting, she became hardened by the world and she needed that softening.
Yeah, I agree with you.
You also play a role in my softening routine, and I play a role in your hardening.
You are.
Now? Actually, before we go into other themes, we haven't really got a chance to talk about the new Wonka specifically. I just want to talk about my qualms about how cartoonish it was at times. That's why, as much as I loved it, and friends and lovers, this is a separate conversation about how you can really enjoy a film, but it's like, it doesn't make it a perfect film. And you can have a perfect film and have things that you don't necessarily like about it, or as OT equates rewatchability. You can really like a film but never want to watch it again, yeah? But what I'm saying in regards to this is, even though I felt very, very emotional, because I feel like those really worked for me, especially in regards to Noodle, it didn't take away about how cartoonish it was. Matt Lucas, the little Britain fella, and Keegan-Michael Key in particular were the biggest culprits of this, and they were the most frustrating in this film.
I was waiting for that.
No, it was annoying. It was annoying. It's like, even for kids, I'm sure they're getting annoyed at these grown people. Actually, sound off. What are your thoughts on the fat suit? Because some people really have a problem with this fat suit. I have a very strong opinion about it. I might even surprise you, friends and lovers.
It's fat suit.
Yes. How he progressively gets fat. Fatter and fatter and fatter. That's literally the whole joke.
I don't have a strong opinion of it, or I don't think that I looked at it in any sort of way other than it being a depiction of his greed and his never-ending want to have more and more.
Yeah.
And,
thanks, Joe.
And pretty much it. That's all I took from it. What else is there?
just like it's cheap humor, which I agree. But just like in this day and age, you shouldn't be wearing a fat suit for a joke, which I do agree. But what's more egregious to me, the fat suit that's more egregious to me is Brendan Fraser and the whale.
Yeah.
Stop coming in talking to me about how emotional the whale is. And then Brendan Fraser goes and cries around about how he did so well. Well, you're not fat, are you? Fuck off.
Was there an attempt to make it comedic? That he
The
was
whale?
No. Keegan, that he was getting fatter?
I think it was just there. Like, I think it was there for you to laugh if you wanted to laugh. I didn't find it funny personally, but...
I didn't find it funny either. I just thought it was a depiction of his greed and nothing else.
Oh, so just man's got fat.
I feel like they're trying to do an orbit or anything like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I get what you're saying. Personally, it's more egregious to me that actors that aren't fat put on a fat suit for accolades. And this kind of comes into Friends and Lovers. We're early for the AAPI month. Chris Melton, I'm sure he's great. But as solidarity, as an Asian American, he shouldn't have taken the role of Willy, where he wasn't even consulted for May December, which is based on his life, excerpts and quotes about his life, about him being abused, that being used as a way for accolades. So whether it's fat suits or whether it's like the lack of advising and consulting about someone's abuse, especially when it comes to grooming in their life, those are disgusting things to me. That's where the veneer of actors just wanting the accolades fractures for me. It's like, oh, you actually don't earnestly want to connect with people. You just want all of the Lydia Tarr awards.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
So I'm saying back off Keegan Michael Key, my best friend.
I'm with you.
Well, let's continue. I think we both agree that the real Wonka is Gene Wilder anyway. It's been a while since we've had a theme specifically about whimsy. I think of our first reference degustation with Hayao Miyazaki, which is interesting because we watched Boy and the Heron and I thought I was going to feel more there, but I felt more here. But anyway, I want to talk about whimsy, Wonka, wonder. Where do you think it was present in both films, and where do you think it worked more?
Oh, definitely the wonder was captured more in the Gene Wilder version, just because, again, it's the fast in its instance. It's the introduction to the world, so the whimsy will always be strong with it. Mm-hmm. With the Charlemagne version, it's more the introduction of what was already set in the obtaining of whimsy. So everything, it didn't really capture the whimsy for me, rather than the current one where I felt it just captured more the grit and the humanity of Wonka than anything else, whimsy around it, or even anything else, whimsy around the world. I get the little cute, the candies and the journey of, oh, we can get flight, there's the building of that, all that, but it just didn't feel as whimsy for me.
There's a malaise, I think. I agree with you, 1971, and it seems to be winning all of these themes as we go along. But I think for me, the reason why the 1971 achieves the whimsy Wonka wonder is because it plays with levels a lot more than the OG, than the 2023 one. And what I mean by that is, on balance, the 1971 OG film is more heavier than the current one. But it also does more in regards to the levity of it. So it plays with the levels. You've got like highs and lows in the film, and you've also got like dark humor as well. But in regards to the playing with the levels and the tone, I think it did it a lot more effectively. You see more of a storytelling sort of curve going on. In the 2023 version, it is the lighter one. It is kind of like coating honey on your tongue sort of thing. It didn't move far from the center. Does that make sense? So they'll have some obstacles, they'll have some joy, but it was already from a very optimistic place, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I guess there's got to be woe with your whimsy essentially, friends and lovers. Or I guess that makes it more effective as well. I didn't necessarily give you an opportunity. Did you want to comment on the themes to slaves and Oompa Loompas?
I think I covered it in my initial thought of it being covered in more sort of succinct way in the original version, where there is a mention and there is a sort of connotation of what happens and what.
Where I made note: desolate land and beasts, nothing but thick jungles, desolate wastes and the most horrid beasts in the world.
Yeah, there's that.
There's that. Okay, yeah, I wasn't expecting a full dissertation. It was just I wasn't sure if I gave you an opportunity to talk about it, but the themes were definitely there. Yeah, it was just interesting, but I want to kind of just talk about them in the film now. You can keep the layers of slavery if you like. Before we even get there, friends and lovers, I came across a really great thread on Twitter that talked about all your authors that talk about revolution and, you know, the upper class, the upper class, you know, being torn down by the lower class and the middle class and, you know, all those sorts of themes that you would have revolutionary, right? Also timely to the Hunger Games as well. And it talks about how the authors are anything but. And the reason why I mention that is go and Google the original title for 10 Little Sailors by Agatha Christie.
Ugh.
Exactly. So let's continue. What did you think about the Oompa Loompas? Do you have a favorite? It's essentially the OG plus Hugh Grant.
No, I don't have a favorite. Do you?
They're both very different, yeah. Hugh Grant surprised me. I wasn't expecting to enjoy his performance. I think I went in with my ass clenched because I was like, how are they going to tackle like the very real parallels for Oompa Loompas? But yeah, I think he did very well because he did it in a way that wasn't copy paste, like Wonka, for example.
Yeah. And that's what I wasn't expecting, to have some semblance of story or backstory to the Oompa Loompas.
And he kept stealing the chocolates back.
Yeah, that was a drama.
Really rude. They had like 4 cacao pods and you took all of them.
And also, I'm just gonna pull you up. Don't lie and say, "Oh, I didn't see how Hugh Grant would do it because you didn't think of all the details of Oompa Loompas." Nah, you just are still bitter because of Bridget Jones' Diary. Just say it the way it is.
Oh.
And we know, even though he was 100% right. Yeah, let's continue.
Well, I only just forgave Matthew McFadden for attempting to play Darcy, but it's always about Colin Firth, friends and lovers in the For Your Reference household. And thank you. That was a very Wonka Wanker call out. I think it's winning everything. I think because in the OG film, it doesn't all hinge on Willy Wonka.
Right.
There's such a building of the worlds. I've got most delectable delight. Which film would you prefer to be in way of indulgence and eating the candies?
The candies definitely looked more delicious in Charlemagne's version.
Okay, all right.
The innovative sort of aspects of, and even the process of him making or finding the ingredients to make the candy. That's what gets me satiated.
Oh, I'm a bit jealous now.
But it makes it look more appealing. The process of he goes through to find what tastes better,
Yeah.
rather than just getting a bar of chocolate at the end of it and being told, hey, here it is.
Yeah. No, I get that. I absolutely agree. I think it looked really, really delicious. That's pretty much all the themes. Like, there's some other things we can talk about if you're interested, but I kind of want to get a bit controversial potentially.
All right. So your normal mode, yeah.
So I buried it deep into the cacao pod of this episode, friends and lovers. Did you potentially see the parallels between chocolate being used as a currency and the Catholic or the church
Ha!
for these sweet little nothings that get hidden behind the floorboards? No.
You've told me this conspiracy theory reviews, and I label it such because it's so left field. I do not see it as...
I'm not calling it chocolate cake.
You pretty much are.
Well, go on then.
You're stating it's currency used to denote the problems that have plagued Catholicism.
Come on, Catholic boy, bring it home.
Has plagued Catholicism when it comes to younger people. And I just did not see it that way at all.
I am telling you, friends and lovers, because some of you are nasty and you would have listened to this without ever having or no intention to go and watch Wonka. For those that have watched it and you plan on watching it again, have a refined eye. And for those that have listened to this and haven't watched it, when you do watch it, have a refined eye. There are certain lines of dialogue that denote to the sweeties. I'm still auditioning for the Mark Ruffalo role in Spotlight.
You'd get it and then you'd be fired because of the outlandish claims.
I stand by it. I stand in it, OT.
I just did not see that. I did not see that at all. I just took it as them hiding candy in the basement. And that's all.
Like Herbert the pervert from Family Guy?
Not even that type of candy.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to get your thoughts on that. That's okay. There are some lines that I really enjoyed in the OG version that I just want to have on the episode. For a student to teach a teacher is presumptuous and rude. You know, when you have that sort of archetype of a teacher, and I'm thinking about the teacher in Ted, most recently, the TV show, but it's funny because you can see a crumbling middle-aged man struggling to like find his feet after a divorce, for example. This teacher was like the definition of that. High blood pressure, taking out all his pain on these children.
Yeah, I would not be able to be a teacher at all. But yes, I don't even think you're allowed, at least in my culture, to speak out even if the elder is wrong. You take it and you die with it because they'll always be right.
Damn, Noodle. I'm surprised you couldn't relate to a character more then. But yeah, it was such a great time to like be able to watch the films, and you know, we'll get a chance to watch the OG Color Purple and the screening coming up as well. So it's nice to have, even on a smaller sort of scale, event watching. But do you have any sort of closing thoughts on the 1971, the recent one, and just both generally?
No, it was like a pleasant journey, just rewatching the original version and then expanding the world into the magical Willy Wonka land.
Mm-hmm.
I just enjoyed myself thoroughly. I think even though I had some qualms with the most latest version, it still was enough to sort of satiate the feeling of wanting more from this, and hopefully we get other sort of prequels to this, because I think Charlemagne...
Do you genuinely mean that though?
I do. I think there's still more story to be told. We've only covered so much, and I think getting to see how the whole company sort of starting to be built and all that would be interesting. And sort of the competition he faces.
You mean with the addition of labor?
Yeah, and how he captures the Oompa Loompas.
Free the sweeties under the floorboards, friends and lovers. You just really left me out to dry for that theme.
I just did not see that. I cannot even... That is something else.
That's your Catholic talking right now.
Yep, sweep it all under the rug.
Pretty much. Thank you so much, friends and lovers, for joining us another week in the For Your Reference household. It's been a while. We're going to finish off in a segment we call For Your Reference. OT.
Ooh. Wow. I will reference It's a Wonderful Life.
Ooh.
It gives you the whimsy while still holding you down to earth with the suffering of a young boy.
It wouldn't be an OT recommend if it didn't have that. But I must say, when Charlie Bucket was in the confectionery store in the 1971 version, I was waiting for the shop owner to start like slapping kids in the mouth. Because it reminded me of It's a Wonderful Life. Well, I guess if we're keeping a festive cheer, I will reference the Ninja Turtle movie.
Ooh, the most recent one.
The most recent one.
The molly whoppingness.
Because it really whopping me.
Mm-hmm.
If you'd like to help in the freedom of the sweeties under the floorboard, on Twitter, Instagram, Spill, and Blue Sky, we're at For Your Reference.
Write us an email at hello@podcast.com.
We're also on the Delectable Sweets Confectionery and Commentary podcast if you'd like to leave a rating and review. And we'll see you guys next week.
See ya.
Mwah.